All right, testing, testing. Guys, let me know if you can hear the audio and see the screen. All right, Nick, what's going on? Good morning. Hope you're doing all right. We have some actual good setups this morning, so get ready because the setups are ready. All right, and what I'm primarily looking at is what me and my team calls the J's. All right, so starting with the JPY, right? JPY on Sunday, when the week opened, you can see right here's that yellow line. When the week opened, the JPY was ready to drop, right? And it tanked. So all week, right, all the way from Sunday till now is when it just found a support level of floor. All right. So looking at it on the 1 hour time frame, right, to get details of that floor, we can see that price has been respecting it so far and actually has given us a little bit of a trend line break. All right. So what that tells me is that price is finished falling, right? At least for this moment here, right? It's not getting below 710, it looks like. All right. And we just broke above this bit of a level here, if you will. So just kind of marking it out like this would have been a nice little resistance level. Okay, and so that wick, we didn't break above it fully yet, but what I'm liking is the fact that we have a nice fair value gap that was trying to break above that high. And I'm pretty sure, like, if I go to the 15-minute, we'll see. Okay, well, I guess I got to get lower because that was a major rejection. All right, so we go to 1 minute. Okay, there it is. So we did get a candle break above that resistance level, right? It looks crazy on the 1 minute, but still, you can kind of make it out. All right, but what we want is, again, back on that 1 hour, just trying to map out what should happen next. And again, this is a new demand area. All right, that was your last candle before the impulsive move up to try to break resistance. All right, so we're marking that as such. All right, and then we have a little fair value gap right where price is kind of sitting right now. And that's where price is. So we also have a low and a high. All right, swing low and a swing high. So we use this low and this high to place our Fibonacci. Okay, and basically what Fibonacci is going to tell us is how far we expect price to pull back before it begins to rise. All right, that's what that's all about. So you can see that Fibonacci is expecting us to get right about here, right, which is in that demand area. So I do expect price on the JPY index to push down a little bit until demand and then start to take off, getting up to, this level where Fibonacci says, or even higher, because again, we've been falling all week. So we're going to begin to reverse to where next week we'll probably, rise all that week, or, just starting from today, right? Thursday and Friday, we rise, the rest of this week, right? And then potentially go and fill this imbalance, which is a huge imbalance. So this is a magnet to price. So price really wants to get back here to balance things out, right? But who knows how long that will take, all right? It took 3 or 4 days to get this low. So it may take 3 or 4 days to get back to that high, right? That's just the logistics of it all right? But because we found the floor and we got to change a character from down to potentially up here, I am bullish on this JPY index, which means that majority of our JPY trades here are ready to fall. All right. And that's because the JPY is the counter currency, not the base currency. So if the JPY is rising, that's going to cause this base currency to fall. A lot of people get that mixed up. They don't know how to read that properly, but that's what it is. On the left side is the base, on the right side is the counter. All right. So if the counter is strong, it's going to push the base down. If the counter is weak, this is going to rise, right? It's that simple. You can play it the other way too, right? If the base is strong, right, it's going to rise. And then if the base is weak, it's going to fall. It's pretty much, that simple. All right. But taking a look here at the JPY, and again, just like when the J opened up and fell, right, the JPY, it opened up from Sunday and it completely fell. We have the RJPY opening up on Sunday and completely rising. So you can see that it has a direct inverse correlation, right, to from this JPY index to these JPY pairs, right? So that's RJPY. Here is CAD JPY, all right? Here is Swiss franc JPY. Here is Euro JPY, which is the ones that I'm going to be focused on, and GJ. All right, my team took GJ. We're up about 5 pips on it right now. So I'm primarily focused on EJ and GJ this morning, and then potentially these indices as well, because they seem like they are ready to take the dive, but it's still bullish technically. So it's a hard call, but we are selling high, which is the way to go. All right, so we got in the sell on NAS and SPY, and right now we are in profit on NAS, but the way that it's falling, I kind of get the vibes that we'll get to the area that we broke. Okay, there's a bit of a demand level here, right? And we could potentially come back one more time just to sweep this trend line liquidity, right? We'll come up to sweep all of that, and then we'll potentially start to fall from there, right? We can get that kind of outlook on NAS, or it can hit demand and just keep rising up, right? That is also the other possibility. Okay, but you gotta, pick one. All right, otherwise you'll be staring at the chart all day and night. All right, on the dollar, right? So it looks like we kind of have bearish divergence on the dollar, right? The chart is making higher highs and the RSI is making lower highs. All right, so divergence on the dollar means we could potentially fall. All right, again, potentially being the key word. All right, because not every single time you see bearish divergence it actually falls, right? It's just a good indicator that it could, right? And looking at the dollar, right, from this 1 hour time frame, we can see we have plenty of imbalance, right? Same thing, beginning of the week, it just shot straight up. All right, and now you can see the highs, they're having a little difficulty getting higher, not much, right? Still going another higher high. This is actually another higher high, but it's very tight. You know what I mean? It's not gapped up like here's a high and then over here is another high, right? This was a high and back here was another high. So they're very spaced out, right? In terms of getting higher, or the highs getting higher. But now we see these highs aren't quite getting that much higher in separation from one another, right? Doesn't mean that it can't keep rising. It just means that there's potential that we may start to fall a little bit more. All right, so on the dollar, I'll be looking for a nice fall, potentially, right? Either coming back down to this level that we broke, maybe to this fair value gap, and we do have a nice trend line as well. So trend line liquidity, okay, could attract the dollar to the downside. All right, and got a bit of a rising wedge when we look at this, and that is a bearish reversal pattern. Okay, so taking a quick look at our majors, okay, and our dollar, right, is in the middle of everything, right? I can see it going both ways, right? So it's very hard to tell which way it will go when it's like this, right? It's just consolidating here, right? We did get a push up here, and then, you know, we just kind of went sideways. Now a little push down here, so possibly, right, we can still respect this bit of a supply level and keep falling, right? That is potential. And we do have liquidity here with a major imbalance to this downside sitting right above demand. So price could again potentially get down to that demand level, and we're talking 177 pips to the downside. Now that's of course if the dollar rises, okay? And looking at the dollar from the 4-hour time frame, we do have that potential. Okay, so we did have a nice bullish engulfing candle here, right? But then when we look at it on the lower time frame, all right, it did create imbalance, and we're respecting that imbalance right to the T for now. So what can happen is, of course, the dollar could just continue to rise until it gets to this level of supply, right? So a push like this from 98 to pretty much 100 is a $2 move on the dollar, and that could send the odd dollar tanking, right, for that 100 and some odd pip move. All right, just here on the 1 hour, I can refine that supply area, right, and then there's a balance all the way up here, so we can mark that out. Okay, so what we'll be looking for is a position like this on odd dollar. All right, 100 pips even, 1 to 6 risk to reward, 14 pips for 100 pips. That's not bad for one day, right? If you're able to take out a standard lot, you're able to make $1,000 on this odd play, right? Before Friday. Very nice, very lovely. All right, so the way to set that up is place your sell limit, put your stops above the liquidity here, and again, you know, it's still in balance here, so we may want to consider placing it above here. That's 45 pips, and we still got a 1 to 2, right? So risking 45 pips to make 100. If you don't like that risk to reward, obviously place your limit order higher, right? So now we're back to 14 pips, but now we have 130 pips on the table. So this looks more ideal, all right, because it covers the risk of price filling this imbalance and sweeping liquidity above this resistance area. All right, so that's the play that we're going to go with dollar. All right, so let's go ahead and set that in motion. All right. So limit order. Okay, your entry is 0.66. 475. Stop loss is 0.666. Okay. 29. Okay, I think that's about 15 pips. Okay, take profit is 0.65198. Okay, and that's about 130 pips. All right, so boom, there is a play on odd dollar. We're gonna go over to my J's. All right, I need to put some alerts on these, but these are the plays that I'm waiting for. Pretty much GJ and EJ. Some of the other JPYs are probably setting up for a good drop as well, but I'm mainly focused on GJ and EJ because GJ has the potential of giving us 635 pips to this demand level, filling all of this imbalance, right? Plus, you guys need to understand that almost every week, all right, in the market, you're going to get price to push up, right? Probably midway. And you guys can see this is Wednesday where the cursor is now. And then for the rest of the week, it reverses, right? You'll see that throughout the week, right? It's fairly visible, right? If you can just put your weekly markings, right? So each one of these yellow lines, right, are for Sunday, right? So Sunday to Sunday is the best way to go, right? And you can see from Sunday it went to about Wednesday once again where it completely fell, and then look what happened. Consolidated Thursday, and then Friday it started to take off, and that bled into the previous week where it went even higher. All right, so again, almost every week you can kind of spot something to that degree, right? Push up out the week, the halfway through the week it pushes back down, or vice versa, right? It'll push down at the beginning of the week, halfway through the week it'll push back up, right? So you guys can, catch your up and down or your buy and your sell on the same pair, right, throughout the week if you just, keep that in mind. All right, so that's a little tidbit for you guys to, capitalize. All right, hit that like and subscribe button for me. Okay, so I'm going to get a little alert on GJ. I'm going to give you guys this play right now because this is where we currently are with price, right at our entry. So now is a good time to get into GJ. All right, so again guys, this is pound JPY. This is a sell now market order. All right, so your stop loss is going to be 205,428. Okay, and that is a 95 pip stop loss, so be mindful of that. Again, you guys can get away with the smaller stop loss. I'll show you that in a moment, but this is a trade that has a really good setup and a really nice risk to reward, right? It may take a few days to play out and it may not, but it's still a great setup to take now because it's at the high. It's giving us a change, right, and showing us that it potentially wants to fall. All right, now I will feel a lot better once price breaks below this low right here. All right, but for now it's definitely giving those vibes that it wants to. Okay, went up and pushed the high, and now this is all the pullback to this demand level here. Okay, all right, so again there is still potential for the JPY or the GJ to keep rising and get above this high. Again, a little bit of trend line liquidity sitting here, as well as like these equal highs. Okay, so right about here, these equal highs. Okay, but because we have a bit of a supply level here, we can see that probably on the lower time frame. All right, there it is, to where you can see price pushes, right? Nice bearish engulfing candle. It pushes, and then we do get the imbalance. Well, it was very tiny, but we got it mitigated, and then we started to fall. So now it's just pretty much a waiting game to see how much price is going to respect this supply level. Okay, so if we get that to push up potentially, like I said, maybe wanting to go and take out these highs. Okay, we can see price do like this, hit this trend line, play around a little bit, come back up, sweep the highs, and then be on its way to drop. And with that, right, my team is already in position to survive that potential sweep of liquidity, right, before the drop. All right, guys. And at that point, well, especially if we get below this low right here. So we do the dance, we sweep liquidity, and then we get below this low. Oh, it's pretty much game over. All right, at that point. And these JPY pairs, guys, can make you a lot of money. Okay, if you can take out a decent lot, right? Whether it's a micro, mini, or standard, the J's they pay. All right, so get ready as JPY is doing this thing with a nice potential drop. Right, typically this moves more during the Asian session, but you can see here. So this is Asian, and then here's London. It did a nice push up. Asian, it, didn't do much, but London did a nice push up. New York, pretty decent push down, right? So now we're out of Asian session. We've swept the lows. So again, I feel like we're going to sweep the highs, and then we'll begin to fall, all right, on GJ. So the play is there, guys. But now EJ, all right, again, same kind of situation. In the Asian session, we were making slight uptrend structure. But out of, here's the high. And then out of the Asian session, we were in the London. We came to London. London came and it swept the lows of that Asian session, right? So again, potentially it may rise up, right, to potentially take out, well, not really take out the high because it's really, that's actually been taken in the Asian session, but the Asian high has not been taken out. So that is a possibility, right? If to take that out, and if it does, we'll lose the trade. But that's just what we're willing to risk as far as this setup is concerned. All right, now here we have imbalance, okay, and we're testing that so far. We may get a little deeper into that imbalance, and that's where I have my sell limit, right, for when price pushes up to activate this order, right? Place our stops above the wick of the Asian high, and let us fly all the way down to this demand level for over 400 pips. All right, potentially more. All right, so again, EJ and GJ are given the best opportunities for the drop, guys. All right, and just going to get an alert on it. All right, whoop, there it is, and check back on the dollar. All right, and we'll check the indices as well in a bit. Okay, so dollar still holding on, and looks like it wants to rise, but like I said, we have bearish divergence. We even have this rising wedge, which is a bearish reversal pattern. So we got to be mindful of that. All right. So again, time will tell, right? Price will eventually show its hand. And the way that's going to look is price will either push up and break. Okay. We'll get a candle to break above this high. Okay. So we'll get a candle to break above this level like this. Okay. And once that happens, then we can pretty much, have a good feeling that will continue, to get up to that level. Now that will be good news, okay, for the indices. All right. So SPY, okay, consolidating at the moment, right? Just broke above this high, and made this new high. And again, guys, imbalance here, about liquidity on the trend line, we did get that. All right. But just, nice opportunity for a drop. And looking at it on the lower time frame, okay, we're getting really nice structure, guys. All right, to where we may have just a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern, right? This will be the left shoulder, this will be the head, and this will be the right shoulder. All right, it's a little slanted, okay, but still qualifies. So kind of what we're expecting, right, is for price to respect, this area, maybe wick a little bit and then begin to drop, right, fulfilling that head and shoulders pattern, all right, of it being a bearish reversal pattern. All right, so again, just right now, guys, we're pretty much waiting, right? This may pick up around 9:30 when the stock market opens, right? These indices may get jiggy, right, for the drop. And we can kind of look at the pre-market, all right, to determine what it shows. So right now, all the indices or the top stocks in the Nas, they're all up right now, and they're up, big time. But because again, from Wednesday, right, which was yesterday, they pushed up, right? So we had about 41 point move on SPY, and it's really kind of from right here. So really, yeah, like a 52 point move, right, on SPY. But this is NAS, so these are NAS. But even on NAS, boom, that was Wednesday, 8 a.m. And right out the gate, we had a massive push up, right? 370 or 27 points, right, on NAS. And you can see the reason why, right? Tesla was up, Amazon up, etc., etc. All right. Now, what you'll notice, well, at least what I tend to notice, is when these are up pre-market and then the market opens, they typically go down, and vice versa. When they're down pre-market and then it opens regular market, they typically rise. So this is almost kind of a good indication that we may be getting a drop, right, on NAS when the market opens, right? So we just take a quick look at, Tesla and some of these other stocks, right? Again, there you have it, right? So we did a major push up, and now we've met some level of resistance here, okay? So we can begin that fall, and it's technically overdue, right? It is definitely overdue for a fall. So we're here with the new high, and we're here with our breaker structure of that high, and we had this symmetrical triangle that played out to the T. It rose up and did what it had to do. But now Tesla, all right, has a great opportunity to drop. So if you guys are into stocks and options, right, you may want to put a put right in on Tesla, right? Give it about 2 weeks or so to play out, right? But this has great opportunity, right, with liquidity behind the trend line, to get you a 141 point or $144 move or drop on Tesla. All right, I know those contracts are expensive, but that's a payday. Okay, and again, this could play out today, right? Just want to let you guys know that, right? So, Tesla looking bearish. All right, Amazon also has a bit of a head and shoulders itself, right? So that's looking bearish. All right, just point it out real quick. See kind of left shoulder, head, right shoulder, right, and boom is the neckline, and we're trying to push back into this level of supply, which from there we'll get the drop. All right, and we'll probably, who knows which level we'll drop to, but that's also looking bearish, right? So the two top stocks in the Nas are looking bearish at the moment, guys. So that's good news for the Nas to potentially drop during market open, right? So just try to give you guys a feel of that. All right, and then US 30, again, same thing. They have their stocks up, right? Their top dogs, right? So Boeing, United Health, Caterpillar, right? They're all up right now. and United Health doesn't really seem like it's going to drop, but we did just fill this imbalance, right? Right here. Okay. So we could drop, all right? From there, we got a little trend line, what have you, okay? But, there's more imbalance up here, so who knows? But not really quite concerned with US 30 this morning because it's very, very mixy, all right, in terms of its structure, all right? I can see it going both ways, all right? I can see us pushing up, sweeping this liquidity, and then tapping into this fair value gap, right, before we get the drop. But I can also see, from a lower time frame that we could just potentially drop, right? We may not go sweep this liquidity, right? Because ever since that liquidity was engineered, all of the major swing highs have been getting lower and lower, right? So now we're sitting here, and again, we could just drop, right? But time will tell, right? And we're almost at that time, right? About 28 more minutes, we'll be at 9:30. The bell will ring, and we'll do our thing on these indices, all right? But again, my team is already in NAS and SPY for the drop, all right? And we're holding on, right? It's very close, very tight, all right? But we're in profit on NAS, and we're almost, well, nowhere near profit on SPY, but we're still in the trade, and it's still looking promising, all right? So again, guys, if you have any questions about these indices, right, please let me know, or just tell me what you were thinking about in terms of them. It's called Dirty 30 for a reason. Big facts. All right, and it'll smack you too. All right, don't get into US 30 just because you hear you can make the money. All right. Also understand that is a double-edged sword. All right, guys. Just as much as you can make 10 bands very quickly, you can lose 10 bands in the same breath. All right. So be very careful because that is the big dog of the big dogs. And playing around with that, especially when you don't know what you're doing, right, is disastrous. All right. So be very mindful of trading US 30. Oil. All right. Oh, so all is ready to go. All right. And again, this was last night as well. I already told my team about it. We were waiting for a price to get into this demand level, and it has done so. So now, guys, it's time to rock and roll. You can buy it right now. It looks like it's about to take off. All right. And this is, perfect timing. Okay. We got our change of character over here. We got our retracement to the demand, and we took off. We made a new high, right? Just continuously breaking highs and giving us that uptrend structure. The candles look perfect right now, guys. So again, my team bought it from the low already, right? But you can get a position here, all right, with your stop below demand. You're still going to get a $3 move out of oil, potentially more, because it may go and break above that previous week high point, right? Which is the whole, point of the structure. Really is it may not, because it really broke the lows. So this is all the retracement that we're probably going to catch up to supply, and then it'll drop. All right. But even still, you're getting at least 200 pips out of oil to the upside. And then who knows, potentially more, right? This may be the beginning of a reversal. All right. If we look at it from a higher time frame. Okay, yeah. See, we've been falling for quite some time. We engineered liquidity, we swept it, and now we're starting to rise. So again, we can just keep going up, right? Get past here. That's, 400 pips. Probably get up to here, who knows, another 400, so maybe 800, and then a huge imbalance, right? Up in this area. So this could easily turn into 1,000 pip play, right? And you're getting in to it from the very, very low. So guys, please don't sleep on oil. All right, get into it right now, right? So I'm gonna put the little marker, all right there. All right, we'll do hot pink because that's how I'm feeling right now. All right, but there it is. All right, and we'll just put a little bit of entry, oil entry. Okay, and boom. right? So again, guys, try to take it, right? You can get away with the tight stop like that, but it's better just to stay behind demand and let it play, guys. Let it do its thing. It's gonna go up, down, left, right, sideways, right? But don't let it knock you off your rocker. If you put it here, right? That's all we need. Look, EJ alert has gone off. That is great news because the alert was simply below price, all right, which is where we want it to go. We want it to drop. And it says are also already in GJ and EJ. Yes, sir. All right, right on time. And there we go. All right. Boom, kaboom, guys. Now EJ's sell limit did not get activated, but don't fear, all right, because it's doing a lot of it's whipping right now with some volatility, but it could easily push back into this fair value gap with volatility because again, there's a little bit of a structured level here, guys. And when I mean that, right, I'm talking about right there, right, a little bit of a structured level of supply, which again is an area where most people may have sold from, right? The markets know that. So they will say, hey, we need some liquidity. Thank you, right? And then they'll take the move on down, right? But for right now, I'm loving the push down that we're getting because we're in sell opportunities on these J's. So let's take a look at the J. Again, guys, don't forget about oil, right? Get in there. All right, here is the JPY, and boom, what did I tell you? Right from the Fibonacci area, right, is where we got that rejection, and then we took off. Now we made it to the first level, right, of where Fibonacci says we can go to, but guys, we have potential to go a lot higher because this is the beginning of a structural change on the JPY index. Remember, I told you guys from Sunday it dropped majorly, right? It engineered liquidity here with these equal lows. It swept it, and now we're breaking structure to, in the opposite direction. So yes, this is, giving us wick at the moment, but this candle has 6 minutes to close. It may not close with this wick. It may close without the wick, and show a strong bullish momentum candle. And then guys, from there, we can pretty much just, figure out the rest of the week will be bullish on the JPY index, which is great news for our EJ and GJ trades as they will just fall as we expect them to. All right, guys. So here, all right. And yep, the excitement is real, guys. All right, there's GJ. We're now up 20 pips. Okay, and just getting to a lower time frame. All right, I do feel, right, hopefully it doesn't happen, but again, I'm prepared, right, for price to sweep this bit of liquidity, right? It may not happen, right? It doesn't always happen, guys, right? But it happens more often than not, but not 100% of the time. So, you know, you guys will, learn that over time. But just for now, right? I still like the setup that we have, and I like the movement that we're getting so far, right, on this. Uber 400 is old news. I got the new high score. All right, yeah, we finna make that call. When she was in here this morning. If you are in here, say something. All right, but yeah, that 600 is about to be lovely, guys. And just so you know, 600 pips, right, on a standard lot of GJ is $6,000, right? $6,000. And I want to put this in perspective for some of you, all right? From the beginning of the week, all right, Sunday, okay, GJ pushed up 637 pips in 2 days and 12 hours. So if you were able to take out a standard lot on GJ, you would have had $6,000 from Sunday till Tuesday, right? And that is just insane. Okay. Cindy, what's good, man? Welcome back. We are looking at GJ and EJ for sells. All right. It's really good setups. We're getting them from the high with some structural changes to the downside. We got a little volatility just a few moments ago, but now it's slowing down. All right. trying to figure out what it wants to do, right? And maybe trying to fake some people out here, right? Sweep the low, reject it, and make you think, uh-oh, it's going to go up, but then nope, it's really going down. All right. Just trying to look at the Asian session here. So I'm going to clean things up really quick just to break down. You guys probably hear Asian session manipulation or trade the Asian session or secret Asian session, right? All this stuff, right? It's all over the place, but basically it's just about being able to spot the Asian session here, right? Now I'm putting the consolidation box for you guys to see it, but the blue area in the background already tells me it's my Asian session. So out of the Asian session, what pretty much happens, we get into the London session, right? That's 3 a.m. Eastern time, and we sweep the lows of the Asian session. Now, typically that's looked at as the false move, right? That price really doesn't want to go down, right? It actually is just taking everybody who sold, right? It's just taking, I'm sorry, everybody who bought from the low of the Asian session is just taking them out to fuel the move to the upside, right? So typically the first move that it makes is looked at as the false move, right? But that's not always the case. And that's where a lot of people tend to go wrong with trying to understand how to trade the Asian session or the Asian session manipulation, what that's all about. What the way to really look at it is understanding from a higher time frame what the trend is. Okay, so yes, the trend is up, right, on pound JPY, but it's been rising for a very, very long time, right? Since Sunday, it's been rising. And here's the highest point that it got to, right? So since you can see Wednesday at 6:45 in the morning, right, it's been getting lower, or at least the highs, right, have been getting lower and lower and lower. All right, so that's giving you a bit of a tattletale that potentially we can continue going lower, right? And that's what that's about. But like I mentioned, this is, that demand area, right? Really, it was kind of right here. That was demand area. But, we're wicking that demand area, okay? So this does still make us bullish for now, right? And if we're thinking about, okay, well, how much could it rise? Well, what it could do is go to take out the high of the Asian session, right? And then it can take out the high here that was in the what looks like probably London, getting into New York, right? It wasn't New York yet, but the London high, all right, and the Asian high, it can go and take those out. So if it does that, it'll go right there, boop, right? It'll take all that out, and now it's like, okay, yep, we did what we needed to do, and we can drop. So this is why we have our stop just a little bit above that high, right? Because if it gets above that high, well, then it's still bullish and it's going to keep going. We don't need to risk that much, right? Now we did get in, not typically, not ideally, I mean, from the very, very high, right? From the London session high yesterday, we didn't get in that high, but we still got, a decent position where, we're risking 94 pips, but that's just the way it is, right? On these J's, right? These J pairs are almost, relatives of US 30 in a sense, with they do big moves and they pay out majorly. All right. So if you don't want to risk this whole 95 pips, guys, what you want to do is just wait until price potentially gets to this area and then look for some bearish rejection, right? To then sell it from this high, right? That way you can get away with something, like a 22, 23 pip stop loss instead of a 95, right? That's another way to go about it. But again, like I mentioned, we may not do any of this sweeping, right, guys? We may just very well push down because, again, JPY, look at that, right? It had the wick, but now we're still pushing up. You get what I'm saying? Now, yes, we do have some imbalance. Now we have new imbalance right here, but this candle needs to close, so it's not official yet. But we get an idea of where that imbalance is going to be. All right, so now we're pushing down into that imbalance, right? And then after that, guys, it may be lights, it may be over with, right? We'll be taking our trip on up to the upside. And with that, on GJ, we'll be taking our trips to the downside as well as EJ. All right. So there's EJ, and look, we haven't swept so far, right? But again, you got to pick your poison, guys, right? Because it's already dropped. If you haven't gotten in it, you don't want to get in right here, right? You want to be patient, right? Somebody's going to have FOMO. They see this right here and they go, oh man, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. No, you're not. All right. You're not going to miss it. I promise you. Right. That bus is coming right back, right to the train station, right? Feel this imbalance. Give you some bears. Create that new lower high, right? And present you with an opportunity to sell it from here, right? Look at that. You're selling higher than where you would have sold anywhere here. That's the name of the game, guys. Sell high, don't sell low. And that's how it goes, and that's how you guys will become profitable, or at least win a trade. Right? Again, I know some of y'all have been in this, and you're like, man, I haven't been able to really figure this shit out. Right? I feel like I'm getting close. I might see that I get in red and I get in blue and I get in green and everything else in between, but you don't really close out in the profit. Right? Why is that? What is it that you're missing? Okay. Most of the time it's simple things like that. All right. That's crazy swing trade. On which pair? GJ, EJ, which one? I'm down 20% on Watson did. What are you down 20% on? All right, dollar seems to be rising a little bit. Yeah, euro. I can see it still falling, but man, it's kind of looking bullish at the moment. Yeah, I can see GU still falling as well. Yeah. So, yeah, guys, we may still have some selling opportunities here. Forgot to set a stop loss. But you're not telling me which pair did you forget to do a stop loss, and that is a big time no. All right, everybody knows, but everybody's their own individual, right? So you make your own decisions in regards to what you want to do with a stop loss. But I can just tell you from experience that you know most rookie traders, and I'm not calling you a rookie trader, I'm just saying most rookie traders, right? This included myself in the beginning. We would say, okay, well, if I keep getting my stop loss hit, let me just take it off, right? If I take it off, I won't, how can you lose, right? There's nothing for them to close out. when it goes against you. Yeah, that's true. But do you have $1 million in your account? Because if you don't, and that trade continues to go in the opposite direction, you're going to lose your money and you're going to blow your account, right? So again, right out the gate for the rookies, their logic begins to be, let me trade without the stop loss and see what happens. And sometimes, right, it works, right? Sometimes they don't have a stop loss. It'll go against them a little bit and then it'll go in their favor. They make the money, they're happy, and they're like, ah, see, I don't need a stop loss, right? And that's cool because, again, you don't necessarily need one, right? It's just protection, right? You don't need a gun, right, to go to every neighborhood. But, if you have one, something pop off, right? You at least, y'all know the saying, it's better to have it and not need it, right, than to need it and not have it, right? But you go in with that mentality of not needing a stop loss, and then when you get smacked, all right, that's where you begin to have a stop loss. So again, scenario with the gun, if you get to the wrong area, right, and something's going down and you don't have that gun, right, that will be the moment where you say, you know what, never again, right? I'm never going to put myself in a situation, at least when I'm going to that area, where I'm not going to be, with my protection, right? That's just how it's going to turn out. So yeah, to each his own with, how y'all want to go about your stop loss. But, let's just be for real, it's the best thing to keep you safe, right? In the event something wonky happens with the markets, which, is a common thing. So don't, don't get too, uh, you know, excited, if you will, about winning without a stop loss too much, right? But, you know, it's still your prerogative, right? Do what you want, all right? Go no stop loss tripping. Oh man, yeah, yeah. That's the wrong thing to not set a stop loss on. All right, it's hitting it hit 4K already, right? Yeah, it's at 4K right now. All right, so yeah, don't want to do that. All right, and did you take? I'm assuming you took a sell because it's up right now. So maybe you thought from here it would have just kept falling, but now it reversed on you, and you're down about 20%. Yeah, gold is just it's the time right now, so you gotta be extremely careful with it, especially making sure that you have a stop loss on it. So yeah, don't do that again. All right, I don't think you will, but again, however you trade is how you trade. You know what I mean? But I'm just here to give some tips, some advice, right? It's up to you if you want to take it or not. You know what I mean? But it happened yesterday. Okay. All right. Well, you can bounce back with these J's. All right. I'm not sure if you're into trading any of the JPY pairs, but my team is, and we do really well on these JPY pairs. As a matter of fact, we caught this opening on UJ. Really, all the J's went up right out the gate on Sunday, and we caught the one on UJ because we were already in it from Friday. So when Sunday rolled around, we just were smiling, ear to ear because it was like, yeah, it's about time. We knew you were going to rise, but damn, we didn't know you were going to rise, right? And that's, how that goes. I also, watched the video on, I think it was AMD, right? So AMD over the weekend, when they opened up, they shot up tremendously because of, the whole OpenAI, whoop, the whoop, the whoop, merging or, partnering with them and this and that. And, some people turn $70 into four bands, right? Some people turn, $40 into, three bands and things like that, right? Off of option plays. And again, those things happen. I had $1,000 return on Twitter, right? When Elon bought Twitter and made it X, right? I thought I was tripping, right? I'm like, wait, these numbers is mighty high. I don't know if I made this much. I think this is a typo or a glitch. It wasn't a glitch. All right. It was not a glitch. And boy, I closed out so fast when I realized it because I didn't even realize what had happened with Elon, right? I ended up reading about it a little later that morning, trying to figure out why was my trade so much in profit, right? You know what I mean? Because it was a small position, but it paid out hugely because I bought out of the money. I didn't buy in the money, right? I bought out of the money, which pays you more than when you buy in the money when it actually goes in your direction fairly quickly. And man, I mean, 1,000% return on Twitter the day Elon bought them. So, you know, you have events like those guys that could really set you up. But if you're never in the game, then you can never really take advantage of that. All right. But yeah, Valorant did this to me. Oh, you got a nice return on that? Well, that's good. That's good, guys. Y'all, yeah, better make sure to tap in to everything dealing with AI and you know, crypto and you name it, right? You know what I mean? Those are the ways to go. All right, in terms of investing and options and all that good stuff. All right, but GJ hanging on here. All right, starting to get a bit more of a push down. Let's check EJ. All right, and still holding. All right, so like I said, see, told you guys, don't fear of missing out on that push. Right, it's going to give you a little bit of an opportunity to get back in. Right, but where will that bus get to? Right, that's the part. Okay, may not get right back to here, may not get, you know, even to here, right? It might just come to like this and then go boom, right? You never know. But the whole thing is having an idea where it may get to, where it may get to, where it may get to, right? And putting your positions at those areas, guys. It's that simple, right? If you can do that, you'll be surprised, right? That you'll be able to take advantage of this new potential drop, which has 400 to 600 pips on the table with these big dogs. All right, I'm gonna take a look at their cousins and brothers and sisters really quick, and look, they're already beginning to drop, and this looks like a double top. All right, shout out to my man Ghost. He's not in the building, but just about a bit of a double top here, right? And there's your neckline, right? Mickey Mouse ears or whatever, right? But potentially do this, pull back, and drop, and drop, and drop, right? The same move up, it makes it in reverse, right? May take 2, 3 days, may take a week, but we already got in from the high, okay? So we're gonna let it fly, right? It's that simple, guys. So these JPY pairs again are looking very good for drops, but you guys have to, you know, do your best to take advantage of it, right? Look, this is our buy position that we had on CAD JPY, right? It just didn't tap us in, but Sunday just took off, right? So we're aiming for a little 120 pips, and this bad boy shoots 421 pips or 412 pips in just 2 days, right? Just insane, guys, which is why, you know, we're excited about the opportunity coming back down, right? Don't get it twisted. It's still bullish, all right? So you guys can see a little bit of a demand level here that it is respecting, all right? So we are, you know, risking this in a sense of trying to sell without confirmation of it breaking that demand area, breaking that strong low, right? So getting a candle to break below this will be we'll have the chart saying, okay, Bain, now we're ready to drop. Right now you want to sell us, but don't sell us low. Wait till we pull back a little bit and then sell us from the high, and then we'll go ahead and drop for you. All right, that's how that goes. But again, you guys got to be patient enough, right, to wait for that to happen and then take advantage. That's where a lot of, you know, traders just have the most difficult time. It will expose how impatient you are, right? And to make money in this market, you can't be impatient, right? It's just that simple. All right. So yeah, all the J's, guys, all the J's. Huge imbalance to be filled. All right. Never tested the area that we broke. If we do a quick measurement on AJ, there's 240 to the break, and there's 350 to the demand area. Guys, don't be surprised. All right. You guys get off of here and later on today or even tomorrow, you come back and check these J's and they tanked, just don't say I didn't warn you. All right, I don't want to hear it. Okay, you guys are in the place to take advantage right now. All right, so do just that, guys. Take advantage. All right, you can always lose, right? But what happens if you win? Okay, things change. All right, I'm trying to win. So holla at me. All right. Yeah, things are just moving slow right now, guys. But we got what we need. Right. We're in GJ. We got the setup for EJ. All right. And again, just like I said, just give it a little bit to kind of pull back. You know, if you miss out, that's cool too, right? Like if it doesn't quite pull back to your sell limit or it doesn't go higher, right, and it starts dropping lower, well, guess what? It's still going to pull back at some point. So let me give you guys this tip really quick, and then we'll end it up for this morning. But here, okay, if it goes away, right, and you're like, damn, I didn't take it when Bain said take it, so now I'm missing out, and boom, 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 right? But here, this will be what'll happen. All right. So price will get away from you, okay? And then it'll start to retrace. So right there, right? You now have a low point. So how do you take advantage of getting into another entry? You place your Fibonacci from that recent high to that new low that it made, and kaboom, X marks the spot of where you want to potentially get in from. Mainly, you want it to go as high as possible. So you want it to get to the 60, right? Anything above the 60 is ideal, right? Because at that point, now you're selling high instead of selling low, right? Therefore, the pullback is over with, the retracement, the correction, whatever you want to call it, is done. And now you have the opportunity to catch the next move down, right? So again, guys, if you miss out on this because it falls, don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers, and all right, wait for praise to pull back, guys. Get higher and then take the sell. It will happen, right? All right, it will happen. Now, when, that's the tricky part. We don't know, but when it does, just be ready. All right, and it's gonna be spaghetti. All right. Sunday we got the gold candle at open. Oh yeah, for sure. Yep, we sure did. We got about 100 and send it. You were there, right? Because you had us take a look at that. And right when we got off that morning, gold took off, right? And even in the time that we were looking at it, it was already pushing up, right? And I was just telling you, this was a good opportunity to get that buy. And man, oh man, did it play out, right? 120. It did like a $12 move, so 120 pips. It was easy money, man. Easy, easy, easy money. And again, here we are again. This is why it's good to show up, right? If you can, to these lives, again, which I really appreciate all of you guys for doing so, right? To take advantage of these opportunities. They present themselves every day, right? It may not be the same pair, right? It may not be the same time, right? But when you have a good setup, you have a good setup. So everything else is just a matter of time. Okay. So give it time and you'll be surprised. Stop trying to trade a million pairs. You'll be surprised. Stop over leveraging. You'll be surprised. Right? You get what I'm saying? It's simple things. All right, guys. But I'll open up the floor. If you guys got any questions, comments, or concerns, I'll answer. But this is my time. So again, anything you guys want to know about, I'm here for you. Boy, oh boy, I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I know, I know, I know. I can't wait to call Ariel. Say, yeah, take that. 600. 543. Man, oh man. All right. If there's nothing, guys, I want to say appreciate your time. Thank you for showing up. All right. Hope you guys have a great morning. I will be on live tomorrow, again from 8:30 to about 9:30, and we'll see what we can get. all right, to close out the week as a payday Friday. But these J's most likely will pay today or during the Asian session, all right, or overnight, all right. So look out for that. And yeah, that'll do it. All right. Meantime, in between time, y'all take it easy. All right. Peace.